This is Pressers by FedNet, where news conferences from the United States Congress become podcast episodes for your listening on your time. House Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar and Vice Chair Ted Lieu held a news conference on October 1st in the House recording studio as a government shutdown entered its first day. The following material is protected by copyright. This program is copyrighted by Federal Network, Incorporated, and provided only for informational and educational purposes. Unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of this episode without expressed written permission from FedNet is prohibited.
Good morning. Pleased to be joined with Vice Chair Ted Lieu as always. At midnight, the federal government officially shut down because Republicans failed to fix the healthcare crisis that they've created. This is a sad, serious, and somber moment for the country. Americans are already facing a dual affordability and healthcare crisis thanks to Donald Trump's tariffs and Republicans' big ugly law. And now, because Republicans refuse to come to the table and negotiate with Democrats, Americans can suffer even more. We were elected to solve the problems of this country, not make them worse. And that's exactly what Donald Trump and his Republican henchmen are seeking to do. From the beginning of the Trump administration, Republicans have shown us that they have made their priorities clear. First, their signature legislative achievement. Republicans passed the largest cut of health care in American history, all to provide a tax benefit to corporations and billionaires. I wish that it was an exaggeration, but it's the truth. Democrats didn't greenlight this cruel, costly health care cuts, and now we continue to stand against them. Preserving and expanding access to quality, affordable care has always been House Democrats' top priority. It should come as no surprise to Republicans that we wouldn't support their agenda that dismantles health care, makes it more expensive, and puts it out of reach for hardworking families. That's why we've done everything in our power to give Republicans the opportunity to do the right thing, to join with us, to work, to collaborate, to have conversations, to have bipartisan funding bills that look out for the economic well-being of the country. We even laid out our own plan that keeps the government open while ensuring Americans could keep their health care, afford medications, and continue to see their doctors. Even as the government closes, Democrats will continue to keep fighting. I hope our Republican colleagues will finally wake up and join us. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. Today is day one of the Republican shutdown. Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. Democrats are here working on behalf of the American people. We're fighting to lower costs, cancel the cuts, and to save health care. And where are House Republicans? They are on vacation. We are asking Speaker Johnson to bring back House Republicans right now so we can work together to not have this government shutdown. It is now a very bad time to have a government shutdown because we are in a very bad economy. We know that unemployment has now hit near 4-year highs. We know inflation has continued to rise this year. And we just learned today from payroll processor ADP that private sector jobs, which were expected to increase by 50,000 last month, instead decreased by 32,000. Trump's economy is crushing Americans financially. House Republicans need to come back, work with Democrats, and stop this Republican shutdown.
Thank you, Ted. Questions? Nick?
I was wondering if I could get your reaction to Russ Vought announcing this morning that the administration was putting funding on hold for infrastructure projects in New York, the Hudson River Tunnel and the 2nd Avenue subway.
I think this is probably what they meant when Donald Trump said we're going to extract maximum pain. The goal from Donald Trump and his administration has been all along to make this painful. This isn't about policy priorities for them. They want to send a message, and if it means hurting people in the meantime, if it means laying people off, if it means congressionally authorized and designated projects don't continue, it's clear that that's what they mean. This is probably under the headline they said will make Democrats will pay huge price for this, right? Those are their words. So this might mean what they this might be what they mean. Look, this is shameful and it's tough, and it shows that we don't have true negotiating partners, over there. They just want to make this difficult. They've been, cheering this on for months and planning for this, and it's unfortunate that this is what Russ Vought decides to do.
As Chairman Aguilar said, the Trump administration is inflicting maximum pain on the American people, including the people of New York and New Jersey. The people of New Jersey have a choice this November. They can support someone that is beholden to Donald Trump or not.
Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for both you and the Vice Chair. You as a defense appropriator and Mr. Lieu as a veteran, what's your response to Pete Hegseth's speech yesterday? I know that there was a lot going on with the shutdown, but obviously that has big implications. Even the president mentioned using American cities as military training grounds. Obviously, when the government opens, you'll have a big role in funding the Pentagon. Again, Mr. Lieu, you're a veteran. I wanted to get your thoughts on Mr. Hegseth's speech yesterday.
I'll keep mine quick because I'm not the one who's worn a uniform to defend the country like the Vice Chair. But incredibly, shameful, chaotic, unhinged, inappropriate, and if Republicans can't speak out against what they heard him say, then what are we doing here? All of those points, using service members, putting them in U.S. cities as training grounds, violating posse comitatus. I passed an amendment in appropriations this year that said funds could not be used in violation of posse comitatus. And every Republican, they accepted the agreement. It passed in voice. Chairman Calvert and our Republican colleagues in the full committee of appropriations, passed it. So, that's how they feel. They feel this is a non-issue, or they did 2 months ago. I'm curious if they feel things have changed now, and it's unfortunate that we're in this place. But from women not being able to serve in combat, I mean, there's just so many things, Michael. We can go down the litany of terrible ideas and policy positions that the Secretary mentioned. By the way, the most unqualified Secretary of Defense that this country has ever seen. So it's hard to take him serious. It's hard to believe him if his lips are moving either. But that's where we are, and it's unfortunate. And I hope that some of our Republican colleagues start speaking against it. But if past his prologue, then they won't.
Thank you for your question. We have the most amazing military in the world, and the leadership of our amazing military, we're all gathered together, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth were expecting rousing applause and standing ovations from our nation's generals, and they were met with silence. It was a silence of the generals. And the generals knew that what Trump was saying was wrong. We do not deploy American forces against Americans in our cities. Our military is not to be used for domestic law enforcement. It is not trained to do that, and our generals simply sat there silently. It's also illegal for Donald Trump to order U.S. troops against Americans in American cities. A federal judge has said so. We expect the appellate courts and even the Supreme Court to uphold that ruling.
Thank you.
Our expectation is that generals and members of the service follow the Constitution and the Uniform Code of Military Conduct. Those are their guiding principles, and it's our expectation. I don't want any of those individuals to resign or retire. I want them to hold strong to the Constitution and the oath that they've taken. Questions?
Representative, sir, I had one
No,
quick question.
I'm sorry. Eleanor, did you?
Oh, I didn't have my hand up. Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Go ahead.
As I know you're asking for negotiations, that's what you want out of the Republicans, and you made pretty clear what's going to be needed with these Affordable Care Act subsidies as well as the rescissions provisions too. But are you willing to give anything up in order to get that out of this?
This is on. Let me back up for those in the cheap seats and for those at home. Republicans control the Senate, the House, and the White House. They must have a plan to solve this, unless they are talking to us. I mean, if they aren't talking to us, then they must have a plan. They need Democratic votes in order to fund government. So it is on them to engage us, talk with us, show up to work, cancel your vacation, come to work, talk with us. We've been having these conversations. We've been pushing to engage since March, by the way, a CR that we didn't support as well. And we have been saying loudly that we have huge concerns from the rescissions that Donald Trump and his administration have executed to not spending resources that Democrats and Republicans have allocated. We have been telling our Republican colleagues for months these are concerns of ours. And we have told them, work with us, talk with us. And all we got were partisan bills because Speaker Johnson is just interested in being the chair of the Republican conference. He isn't interested, apparently, in being the Speaker of the House and passing things with 218 votes that can become law. That's what he could be focused on, but he's not. He is simply focused on doing what his conference wants, trying to keep them together. It's a shame because as a result, this is what we get. The Vice Chair said it. There were day one here, and it could have gone a different way, but that's not what House Republicans want.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. You guys have over 200 Democrats in the House. You only lost one vote on this continuing resolution when the vote was on it. Yesterday, before the shutdown even started, Senate Democrats lost 3 votes. Are you worried that as this goes on, we could see a repeat of the CR earlier this year and Senate Democrats let us through?
It's a question for the Senate, but I will tell you, each of those senators who voted yes, all of them have said Republicans need to come to the table. Republicans need to negotiate. Republicans need to help avoid the healthcare crisis that they have created. Look, I understand the question, but there is unity in message and what we want that Republicans need to come to the table. Any one of those senators would agree, and many of the senators who voted no on the CR would say the same thing.
Thank you. In the past, in shutdowns, we've seen both sides come together and pass certain measures that would fund military members so that they don't go without pay. I'm just wondering, is there any discussion yet? I know it's early in the shutdown, but is there any discussion about doing any supplemental pieces of legislation like that? And I guess part two, more broadly, Republicans will be back in the House next week. Is there any discussion yet about at least coming to the table and starting a negotiation?
Well, in order to come to the table, Republicans have to be here. They're not here. They're scattered across the country, across the world, maybe on some trips, on vacation. We're here ready to work, and that part's unfortunate. We want to avert the healthcare crisis that we know is coming. I appreciate you asking about possible legislation. The majority controls the floor. If Republicans want to put pieces of legislation on the floor, they can next week. We are saying, let's avoid this shutdown. Let's end this, and let's have conversations about what's necessary to fix this healthcare crisis that you've created. But we're not going to take pinky promises like Speaker Johnson hands out to his conference, giving them, select committees and other things. Like his word doesn't mean much to House Democrats at this point. After backing away from a truly bipartisan CR in December, that's the floor, by the way, of what we need. Democrats and Republicans coming together, agreeing to a continuing resolution. For those of you new to this room, Republicans backed away from that deal, from that bipartisan agreement when Elon Musk told them to, and then they had a smaller CR in March that we opposed. So that's the stakes of where we are. I don't control the floor. The vice chair and I don't control what comes to the floor. We'll handle that when Republicans notice it. But House Democrats stand ready and willing to engage and negotiate to end this shutdown if Republicans are serious about addressing the healthcare crisis that they've created.
I just wanted to get your reaction to some fellow Democrats as well as Republicans have said, like the thousands of government workers who are going to go without a paycheck, that some members of Congress should also go without a paycheck. Just wanted to see if you agree with that or what you think about that proposal.
Members will make their own decisions on that. We're very mindful of how the shutdown affects government employees, people who work for the federal government, who have been furloughed, people who work here in the United States Capitol, people who work as vendors here in the Capitol as well. We know that this is a disruption to them and their families. There's no pride, there's no glee in that. The Constitution indicates that members of Congress get paid, and so that is the current law. Some members will take other positions to have their pay set aside for a moment of time. Every member will make their own decisions. Mike?
Thank you. Republican leaders are saying that they're not going to negotiate until the government is open. You're saying you're not going to open the government until they negotiate. So you guys have a real problem up here in the Capitol. With that in mind, do you see anyone in the White House, the president or anyone else, as a better negotiating partner at this point in terms of opening up the government? Even though you just said, what did you just say? We don't have true negotiating partners over there. But is there anyone in the White House who you could talk to?
Yeah, I don't think there's. I think it's incredibly difficult, but I think I don't think we trust any deal without Donald Trump in the room and as part of it. House Republicans have proven, even if they agree to something, they have to go back to him to bless it. And so I don't think at this point there's a solution without the president being in the room. And I think Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer said the same thing in the White House, or something similar to the president in the White House. And I don't think that congressional leaders can push back on that at all. It's proven time and time again to be the case. I hope we were in a different situation where we could engage in that. House Republicans have burnt through their goodwill by walking away from bipartisan deals in the past.
Today was the first day that NPR and PBS were stopped receiving federal funds. What are your concerns with this lack of funding?
Our concerns are, the bedrock of our democracy is a free press, and that means everybody should get an opportunity to hear the news, no matter your zip code, no matter if you're in a rural community or an urban community. And many communities get their news through one or two channels or radio stations. And in a lot of rural America, much of that is through NPR and their affiliates. So I'm less concerned with the kind of beltway news sphere, no disrespect to all of you, but how Americans across this country receive their news. And in many cases, there's been media consolidation and just geographic barriers to people getting their news. We need to make sure that people have fair and honest reporting so they can make a decision on what's best for them and their families and their communities. And I think the decisions that Donald Trump and House Republicans have made to eliminate that funding is wrong. I think a couple of Republicans have spoken out against it. Some have tried to strike a deal and have floated options, but to date we don't have that. And so many of these stations, I'm afraid, are going to lose funding and jeopardize the services that they provide to rural America, and that's unfortunate.
Thank you.
Last one.
What are your reactions to the tariffs on pharmaceutical drugs that take effect today?
The tariffs in general that Donald Trump is put forth are terrible for our economy. I'm only pausing and withholding because if you wait a day or two, he might pull them back, right? He might pull them back and then put them back on again, off again. It's terrible for the economy, it's terrible for the markets, but more importantly, it hurts people. It adds uncertainty to folks. It raises the cost of healthcare. It raises the price of prescription drugs. House Democrats have made it a priority to lower the cost of prescription drugs. That's exactly what we did when we were in control, ensuring that Medicaid has the negotiating power, Medicare has the negotiating power that the VA has in keeping the cost of prescription drugs down. That's a policy that we stand by. That's a policy we would expand if we had our options. We want to lower the cost that people pay for pharmaceuticals. What Donald Trump is doing is raising the costs that pharmaceuticals pay. That is diametrically opposed to what we want to achieve, and it's unfortunate, but it continues down the path of chaos and confusion that his administration has rained upon us for 10 months.
The tariffs are making this bad economy even worse. So estimates have come out saying that the average American family is going to pay $2,500 more because of Trump's tariffs. And in terms of pharmaceuticals and healthcare, the reason that we are here today, Democrats, is we are fighting in D.C. to cancel the cuts, lower the costs, and save healthcare. So the Republicans have massively cut healthcare and Medicaid. You're going to have $500 billion cut coming to Medicare if that's not fixed. You have Republicans discontinuing the tax credits for their Affordable Care Act. And in America, if you don't have healthcare coverage and you get really sick, you still get treated at the hospital because we don't let people die. And then those costs get passed along to everybody who does have employer-based healthcare coverage. So those premiums also increase. So we're fighting to lower costs, not only in pharmaceutical drugs, but everywhere in healthcare. And we ask Republicans to stop your vacations and come to D.C. and work with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this FedNet podcast. You can watch live action from Congress on our YouTube channel at FedNet TV.